So hello and welcome to this video. My name's David Thorne and you're watching David's Videos. So now a little bit of background on me. I've lived in Germany since I was 19 years old, and that was 1999 is when I moved here. It's been like 20 years now since I've lived in Germany, and so many people now ask me as a 40-year-old, what is it like living in Germany? I've got to say to them that I prefer living in Germany rather than living in the UK. And when I do go back to the UK, I miss Germany and I like Germany so much more. And I'm always saying, oh, but in Germany you can do this and in Germany you can do that. And I always speak to my family about saying how Germany, I believe, is better all round to live in. So I came up with a couple of pros and cons about why I like living in Germany as a British person, or especially an English person. Let's go through. I'm going to start with the cons first of all. Now, but I'm going to kind of just like pick on a topic which is not a con. It's just like it bugs me. Is that people always talk about that riding a bike in Germany is like this big problem, and that I don't understand it. There's cycle paths everywhere. There are traffic lights that allow you to cross the road as a cyclist. There's everything for a cyclist, and so I don't understand why people complain about the cyclist, because now when you drive on the roads there are cycle lanes that they're there, and they're only allowed to drive on the cycle lanes as well. And if they're driving on the street with a bike, then they're driving on the street with a bike. That's a bike, and that happens in any country in the world. And yes, more people ride bikes in Germany because it's flat and it's not like these huge hills, and you can cycle from one place to the other, and there's not people like stealing bikes all day long. Another thing which is kind of like in Germany, the traffic light system. I believe that they don't actually monitor the traffic lights. I believe someone just hard coded them and said at 8 o'clock this traffic light will then stay on for 20 seconds and then it'll go off for 10 and it'll go on for, I know there's some places where they have sensors and they're actually monitoring it based upon what time of day it is and how much traffic there is and so on. But I don't believe that most places do. In Dortmund, I can drive around the ring of Dortmund in the middle of the night, there's no cars there, and sit at a red traffic light all the way long. Now, when I lived in Gütersloh, there's a ring of Gütersloh, and there, the traffic lights, as long as you went at a specific speed, you could get green lights all the way, which was very clever. So there's traffic lights in Germany. I can't really put them in pros and cons, because some towns, they're fantastic, other towns, they're terrible. But I'm kind of guessing that's the same all over the world. Okay, so my first con is that the German people can either be super boring or super awesome interesting, and it's difficult to find someone in between. You either literally find a group of people that are going to sit at a table on a Friday night in a bar and just talk with those four people and no one else. They're not going to interact with anyone else whatsoever. They're going to buy like one beer and drink that over 2 hours, and then they're going to go home at 11 o'clock, finished. They don't go partying, they don't go laughing, they don't get drunk, apart from on one day of the year where they decide to get completely drunk, which is Schützenfest or Oktoberfest. And there's other people that are there, they are drinking all the time, they're going out all the time, and it's like you can't keep up with these people. So there's a con that you can't find these normal people that like to go partying. Sometimes, okay, that potentially, in my opinion, the number 2 should be number 1. But the shops are closed on Sunday, which we're living in 2019, and the shops are closed on Sunday. I remember as a school child when I was like 5 or 6 years old, the shops were closed on Sunday in the UK. And now there's shops, you can pretty much do anything on a Sunday. You can go to the supermarket, you can go to the UK, you can go to Tesco's, Sainsbury's and so on, any time of the day. Yes, okay, Sunday it might be closed at like 2-3 hours earlier, but you can go buy stuff. And in Tesco's and Sainsbury's in the UK, you can buy pretty much anything today. I want to buy a TV on Sunday, go to Tesco's. I want to buy a TV on Sunday, go to Sainsbury's. I want to buy a pair of shoes, go to Tesco's. You can buy anything Monday through to Sunday, nearly all the time of the year. So this is something that really bugs me in Germany, that shops are closed on Sunday apart from ice dealers and the normal things that are open. The German sense of humour is completely different, and I'm not saying they don't have a sense of humour, it's just completely different to the British sense of humour. Now, I have a very, very dry sense of humour, and it's called sarcasm, and I think some of the German people don't understand my sarcasm, my humour. I'm not saying everyone, I'm just saying my humour. But otherwise, I've met German people that have had the same sense of humour as me. They've found stuff funny, and some people laugh all the time at me, some people don't laugh at all at me. So I think that might just be down to me. Okay, another thing is in Portugal and so on, you can go to the cinema and they play the films in English with then German subtitles, or in this situation, Portuguese subtitles. In the cinemas in Germany, they're dubbed all the time, and this really, really annoys me. But the only time you actually get to watch an original version, all the films in Germany are that they've got OV, so original version. And normally they only play this on a Sunday, or the big cinemas, they play it like maybe once a day, but it's like a stupid time. So it's very, very difficult to go to the cinema as an English person, although I understand German, but I can't stand listening to watching Iron Man with another voice that I'm expecting, you know. So that's also, I'm a British person. I have an English car, so I have a right-hand drive car in Germany, just because. And yeah, so the Germans always seem to think that my steering wheel is on the wrong side. Well, no, I think the British are doing it correct. That's just a British thing. Okay, obviously the con is of living in Germany is that there's some towns they don't speak any English, some people don't speak any English, and then other towns they speak English absolutely everywhere. Now, I mean, in Dortmund you can pretty much go without speaking German whatsoever in most places. There'll always be someone in the shop that can speak some form of English to you. Now, I speak German anyway, so it's not a problem. But the cons of living in Germany is, yes, you've got to learn German. Isn't that the same in any country? Okay. So I love Cornwall in the UK. My parents now live in Cornwall. I was born in Surrey, and I lived all of my 19 years in Surrey, and we went to Cornwall all the time on holiday, and I love Cornish pasties. And this is the con of living in Germany, that you can't eat Cornish pasties. And I'm also going to say sausage rolls. In Germany they have something called the Geflügelroller, which is kind of like a sausage roll, but it's just not that sausage roll that you get in the bakery in the UK. So that's the cons. Something I miss of living in Germany are the sausage rolls and pasties, and pork pies as well. I miss pork pies so much. Anyway, but that's something that you can get sent over here, but then they cost a fortune. Okay, so chips and fries, although I'm an English person, I don't call them fries. That's just what Americans do. If you ask for some chips in Germany, you'll get some crisps. Or if you're an American, some potato chips. So they're called Pommes in Germany. So if you go into a shop and you want to have chips, you've got to ask for Pommes. And so this is something that I wish that the Germans, they kind of take some of these words on that are the American or the British words, and in other words that are like completely known everywhere, they don't use. Like hot dog. They say hot dog, but they don't say chips. They don't say chips, you know. Anyway, banks are closed at lunchtime. What? The banks are closed at lunch? Since as I was a child, The banks used to close at lunchtime, and then everyone moaned about it. So what they did is they then had shifts. So some of the people would go to lunch at this time and the other people would go to lunch at another time, but all of them worked at lunchtime. So when you went in, everyone was there at lunchtime. So the people either had to go to lunch at 11 o'clock or they had to go lunch at like 1 o'clock. But between like 12 and 1 o'clock, you could go to the bank on your lunch hour and do all your finances. Okay, now you've obviously got online banking, but we get into that with German banks. But banks are closed on lunchtime, first of all, which is, in my opinion, the worst thing ever. Most shops close at lunchtime. Unless you live in Dortmund or a big city, shops are open all the time, and they will open literally any chance that they can open. But if you live in some of the smaller towns, the shops will close at lunchtime as well. So if you work in a town and you've got to go and buy a pair of shoes or something at lunchtime, you can't do it. So you've got to take time off of your job to go and do shopping. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't understand it. It's like 1 hour where you could just sit there and eat your lunch. If someone comes in your shop, well, yeah, okay. If you're one man band and it's you, then I'm sorry. Yeah, you're losing money at lunchtime. I don't understand it. Better open up at 10 o'clock in the morning than do all of your administration at between 9 and 10 o'clock. Isn't that better? Okay, so if in the UK, when I was a child, you could go, and so we're talking like 30 plus years ago now, I could get my like £5 pocket money or whatever I'd earned from whatever, and I could go to the cash machine and I could pay it into the cash machine there and then. Okay, now if teleportation existed, I could then teleport to Scotland and then go to a cash machine and take that exact money back out again. And it will be there. So 1 minute I have £0 in my bank account or my savings account, and then I pay £5 in. Now there's £5 in my bank account, and if I go to Scotland, there's £5 in my bank account, and I can take it out. Germany, you go into the bank, and they're like, no, you are with our bank, but that's in this town and not that town, and you can't pay money in here. You can go to the cash machine and take money out, but if you've forgotten your PIN number, they won't give you money. And if you want to pay a bill, you have to go, if your bank is like 200 kilometers away because you've moved cities, you have to drive 200 kilometers to go into that bank to pay your bill, or you have to change banks. Crazy. And then if you do get a bank that allows you to use it anywhere in Germany at any one time, they charge you a fortune per month. So if you put savings in that account and don't touch it for 10 years, your money's gone because the charges every single month are just removed that money that's in the savings account. So that's another thing that grips me. The bureaucracy in Germany. This is not me exaggerating. You can go into one office in Germany where you've waited 6 weeks for your appointment, and they'll sit there and they'll give you a whole bunch of paperwork, and the person, nice and friendly, will tell you, you now have to fill this form out, this form out, this form out, get it signed here and sign it here, sign it here, and then you go, awesome. So can I do this now? And then, no, once you've done it, you have to make another appointment to come in and give it back to us. You couldn't just sit there with that person and fill out the forms with them, because the form, you need to be like a rocket scientist to understand half of these forms anyway as a foreigner in Germany. Okay, so now let's say that you have completed all these forms, you go back to the office and they stamp it, they go, okay, you now need to make an appointment with the other office. And where is that? And they go, next door. And what do they need to do? They need to stamp it. So you're like, no, but why can't I just take it? Or why can't you just go into the other office, to your friend and they stamp it then, come back and it's done. No, you have to make another appointment. And most German people, I don't know whether it's the older generation, they'll look at you like I'm an absolute idiot. And you're like, but you could just stand up and go to the other office and stamp it. And then come. Does that not save time? Am I just not understanding this? It must be me, because if it was me, I'd say I'd just go and get it stamped. Come stamp it, come back, finished, done. Or just let that one person have the ability to have that stamp as well, and then, yeah. But then, unfortunately, you lose a job. That someone loses a job there. Okay, final con is that if you get a flat, there's no kitchen in it. You've got to go and buy a new kitchen. So you've just spent all of this money paying them on deposits and so on, and you get in there's no goddamn kitchen. So you've now got to go and find a kitchen. On your first day, you go into the flat and there's no kitchen. So you move. It's terrible. And then you move out and you've got to rip your kitchen out, and or either sell it to the people or sell it to someone else. So I don't understand it. But have a flat, put a kitchen in it and leave it there, right? And that's it. Have a house, put a kitchen in it and leave it there. If the people that buy the house don't like the kitchen, they then have to either sell it, throw it out, or revamp it and put a new one in. Done. They don't cost a lot of money. That's why I spend more money on a kitchen and put it in there the way that any person in the world could use it. You can change doors, you can change handles. I don't understand it. And dishwashers, just leave the dishwasher in the house. Leave it in the flat. Let it be a part of the house. Anyway, right, that's the cons done now. Right, the pros. Now, as a software developer, I want internet, and I want fast internet. And Germany has glass fiber, real fast internet. And I have 50,000 Mbits here, and if I wanted 100, I could have 100, but I don't need 100, so I don't pay for it. It cost it more, but it doesn't cost a lot of money to have internet here either. Now I pay like 25 euros per month for 50k, probably 30 euros, but I'm not even looking at 30. In the UK, I know that my parents pay 40, 50 pounds for this stuff, and the internet is nowhere near as fast as, well, the internet now is that fast because they've done all of the new cabling, but I've had internet in Germany at this speed for a decade. Anyway, that's just in my opinion. You can comment below whether I'm wrong, but in Dortmund, where I live, I've got at least 100k right now, and I could probably have more if I had Unitymedia through cable. Okay, cheap flats. You wouldn't believe how much money you need to spend on a flat. I mean, it's in comparison to living in London and to here. Well, here the cost of living is you can have a half decent flat for one person for under 500 euros, including your gas, your electric, your water, your internet, your parking, everything. It's not going to be like this mansion, but it's going to be this flat that you can live in nicely. And I promise you, it won't be in this like luxury area, but you'll have a flat for under 500 euros. Okay, third thing is that if you do want to go out and have a drink here, you can basically Monday through to Sunday go to a bar at 8 o'clock and sit there until midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And if this one bar closes, there'll be another bar that you can sit until 3, 4 o'clock. And then you can go to a petrol station and you can buy another drink, and you can drink basically 24 hours a day in Germany. Okay, pro as well is that you can walk into a kiosk, a small shop, a kiosk, and you can buy a can of beer and you can walk around the streets with a bottle, can of beer, bottle of vodka, bottle of wine, anything. And as long as some areas will say you're not allowed to have glass bottles, but it's not forbidden to drink alcohol in the public. So you can sit outside in the parks, on the road, drink alcohol with your friends. no worries at all. And it's also a cheap night to just go through the likes of Dortmund, Cologne, Dusseldorf and so on, and just walk from kiosk to kiosk, just drinking outside. In my opinion, that's awesome thing, right? The kiosk, the shops, the drinking outside, love it, fantastic. Events. When I moved to Dortmund, I lived in Goodstow before, which was like, there was an event like once every, don't know. But in Dortmund, there is an event going on nearly every week of the year. And if you're sat home, not knowing what to do, in Germany, especially in Dortmund, compared to Cologne and Munich and so on, it is a tiny, tiny little city. There's like 600,000 people here. But the pros, in my opinion, is that there is always something to do. There is always some event, some party, some festival, something that you can go to fill your time up. So that's definitely a pro. You're never going to get bored. And there's always a place to go to as well. And you can use the truck. We'll get into this one. Okay, pro of living in Germany, mobility. If you want to drive from one city to the other, so from Dortmund to Berlin, if you want to drive there, it's going to take you 5 hours to drive there. But it's literally one road. Well, once you've got onto the main road going to Berlin, you'll sit on that one road for 4 hours. It'll take you an hour to get to that road, and then you just drive a straight road all the way to Berlin. If you want to go to Frankfurt, it's near enough one road going all the way there. And if you want to go to Munich, yeah, you don't have like all this go around all these back lanes and so on. You can get from the north to the south in the however fast you're actually able to drive on the motorway. And obviously, we'll get to the German motorways. The beer, in my opinion, it is some of the best beer that I've ever drunk. And if you compare it to some of the British beer, no, I'm not going to say it. It's not even comparable. The British lager and beer, in my opinion, is water, and it's not worth drinking. Okay, most of the British people, they don't even drink British beer or lager. Well, okay, beer, but they drink lager. In Germany, it's called beer, so it's called Pils. If you go into a bar, you'll ask for a Pils. It's a lager, and this will give you a headache in the beginning. You drink like half a litre of beer, it will give you a headache. Anyway, I love the beer in Germany. The people are also really friendly. The stereotype of German people is that they're unfriendly. Not true. Not true whatsoever. There are rude, dishonest, horrible people everywhere in this world. And most Germans will always be helpful. They might sound rude, but they'll always help you, and they'll always be friendly. They sound rude, but they'll always be helpful and friendly. You just need to be friendly to them. So it sounds a bit funny, but you kind of get this opinion that they're being rude, but they're not. That's just the German voice, the German words and so on, but they are actually being friendly. Okay, the motorways, the Autobahn. Yeah, some of the roads are 2 lanes, but most of them are three lanes, and the inside lane. So the furthest left lane is the one where all of the Mercedes and the BMWs just come absolutely rocketing by, and when you see them in the back, if you sit in the middle lane, because all the lorries are be on the right hand side lane, and so predominantly you sit in the middle lane doing 150 k's an hour, which is like 80 miles an hour, I think, something like that. 85 miles an hour. Yeah, I think it's like 85, 86 miles an hour. And you'll be sitting there, which is a good speed, and then suddenly you'll just see this car in the mirror, and it will go woof, and you'll feel your car because of the wind go past it. Otherwise, if you're on that fast lane, you're overtaking someone else and you've accelerated to say like 90, and then you'll see in the background these lights flashing. You'll see the xenon lights flashing at you, and you've got to get out of the way as quick as possible, and then it'll just rocket by. Otherwise, they'll just sit behind you. But you learn how to drive on the Autobahn. You know, go onto that lane, accelerate first before you get onto that lane, and then get back off of the lane as quick as you can. The roads, generally speaking, the roads in Germany are pretty awesome. So, yeah, they're roads. The cleanliness. So, if you can imagine, when people generally in Germany don't throw the rubbish on the floor. There are the people that throw rubbish on the floor everywhere and anywhere. Even though there's a bin there, they'll throw it on the floor. But ultimately, there's normally someone that will come up that will clean that road up within that one day. More in the morning in Dortmund, there's a company that goes around nearly the whole city, even at the night time in the mornings, and they'll clean the whole city. And it's super clean. Nearly everywhere. I mean, nearly everywhere and anywhere you go, it's clean. And something I love about Germany is its cleanliness. Trains, I would say that most of the time, if you're traveling from one place to the other, you can go to the main train station and you'll have, so you have ICE, which is Intercity Express. These are the fast ones that are going to go from like Cologne all the way to Frankfurt, then Frankfurt to Munich and so on. And they'll get there really fast. And they won't stop at many cities. They'll literally only stop at the big cities. And then you've got Intercity, which will stop at, it will go fast, but it will stop at some of the other cities in between. And you have to pay a little bit more for that. And it's a bit more comfortable. You've got internet on the train and so on. These are the white trains. And then you've got the Regional Express. These are the red trains. And these will go from like Dortmund to Essen, Essen to Duisburg, Duisburg to Düsseldorf, and Düsseldorf and so on. And these run every half an hour, every hour and so on. And yes, they are delayed. But normally, you'll never be like more than half an hour late for something, because if one's cancelled, the next one happens. And if there's some idiot decided to tie himself to the train track, that's nothing to do with the trains. That's just to do with an idiot tying himself to the train track. And that can happen in any country. Hospitals. Okay, it's hospitals. If you've injured yourself, you don't pay for private insurance, but you have private insurance as such. So when you have your job, you pay for the insurances from your salary as per the national insurance you do in UK, and that goes, you choose which insurance company you want to be with. Now, if you don't have one, then if you don't choose a private one, then you'll go with the German standard one and so on. But you can have private insurance. Which means that when you go to the hospital, you have to give your card, and that's where the insurance company will pay for any stuff that's done. So basically, when you go to the hospital, you'll see a doctor nearly instantly. And I mean in that same day, within not so long. If you lose your job, like if you've worked for like say 4 or 5 years and you lose your job for some reason, you go to the Arbeitsamt, the job centre, well, the Arbeitsamt and job centre, two different things, and you register yourself as jobless, and you'll get Arbeitslosengeld, which is then job seekers allowance and so on. And depending upon how long you've worked for, you could get 80% or something of your salary, your previous salary from the job centre, for like 12 months until you find your other job. After that 12 months, they then will tell you you've got to find a job, and you've got to send so many CVs out per month, and then you get a reduced amount. And if you still don't work, you'll get a really reduced amount, and then they'll start paying for your flat. But if your flat's too expensive, they'll tell you you've got to move, and so on. So essentially, the whole point is get a job. But pros of living in Germany is that first, if you can't find a job, they'll support you, which kind of that's also a con because your taxes are higher because you've got to support the other people. But when you are jobless, then that's the whole point of taxes. Car insurance is cheaper because the car's insured rather than the person being insured. So they ask you how long you've driven for, they ask you how long you've held a license for, not how long you've driven for. So I know in the UK, if you have a license for 10 years but you've only driven for 2, then that'll only be however many years you've driven. And then it's however many years you've not had an accident with active car insurance. So anyway, I believe car insurance is a bit cheaper in Germany. I could be wrong. Anyway, all round, I like living in Germany. And if you have any questions about it, if you're traveling to Germany and you want to know what cities to go to or something like that, then let me know. And if you come to Dortmund, then let me know that you're coming to Dortmund, and then awesome. Anyway, that's it. I hope this has been informative to you. Don't really know. Like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, and thanks so much for watching. Bye then.